All right. Well, it's Friday. We're finishing up this week, this story we've been doing this week about the Grand Canyon, but we're also finishing Module 6. We finished up another module. This module was all about the wonders of nature. And so we've looked at different kinds of stories teaching us about the wonders of nature, starting off with just a little text called the Seven Natural Wonders. And then we looked at the story called the Mariana Trench. We learned so much about how deep it was and how few people have ever been to the bottom. The thing that stood out to me about that was the amazing fish that live there and how some of them glow. Then we looked last week at weird and wondrous rocks to begin the week. And then we got into some poetry. I remember the poetry called Nature's Wonders. It kind of gave some information about the text, about the poem, some informational text about the place, and then a poem about it as well. And of course, we've been reading about the Grand Canyon this week. So I want to just kind of collect our thoughts and finalize our thoughts on these stories before you go take your story test and your spelling test today. So synthesizing, when we synthesize, our thinking changes, we form new ideas. So I'm just going to talk through how I felt about this module, and I want you to think as I'm talking about it. Think about how you felt about it. You may have felt the same as I did, or you may have not felt the same. You may have felt different. So what do I know? Well, I thought I knew a lot about natural wonders of the world. I like to watch the Discovery Channel and on TV. That's one of my favorite channels to watch. So at first I was thinking, I already know all this stuff. I already know about these natural wonders. So this is going to be boring. I don't want to read stories about the Grand Canyon, stories about the ocean, and this is going to be boring. That's what I was thinking. When I was learning, I was thinking, wow, there's a lot of things I don't know about this world and all the natural wonders in this world. So I was thinking that. And by the end, I understood, hey, yeah, these are not stories like fictional, funny stories to read, but these are these informational texts and the poetry tied in. So they were really interesting to me. And it's a different type of reading, though, isn't it? It's a reading to learn. It's that information we are learning as we're reading, not just reading for fun, but we're learning as we read. So by the end, I was thinking, this wasn't boring at all. It was actually really interesting. I especially like the poetry. I like how the text feature was in that story, Nature's Wonders, where it would have just a short paragraph that gave us information about the place, the natural wonder that then the poem was about. I had one for each of those. And so I thought that was a really neat way to set up a story. So I enjoyed that one probably the most. However, I sure enjoyed reading about like I said, the fish in the bottom of the Mariana Trench. That was really interesting too. So those were how I synthesized my thoughts. What about you? Were you more excited about it to begin learning about these natural wonders of the world, or did you think it was going to be boring? And did you end up like me and really liking them, or did you think it was boring all along? It's okay. We all have different opinions. Hopefully you didn't think it was boring, though. All right. And at the end of every module, we also make some connections. When we read, we find ways the text is like things in our own life and other texts that we have read. So we could do these three things. We connect the text to ourself. So connect the text to your life. This reminds me of so this one is kind of tricky because I've not really seen any of the things that we read about, but that's still connecting it to myself, isn't it? When we read about the Grand Canyon this week, it reminded me that I want to take a vacation out west and see the Grand Canyon. That's one of the things that I want to do sometime. I want to take a vacation to see the Grand Canyon. I probably would have already, but my daughter Brooke says, I don't want to go see the Grand Canyon. I want to go to the beach. So while she's young and living with us still, we take her to the beach instead of going out west. Maybe when she's grown and married and I'm already old, but later on in life, my wife and I will take a nice long drive out to the Grand Canyon. So one day I'll get to see it. So there's connecting the text to myself, connecting text to text. Well, all these were really related, weren't they? It's not hard to do with these texts because they were all about natural wonders of the world. The Grand Canyon is a deep, deep trench above the ground. And the Mariana Trench is a deep, deep trench below the ocean. So they're connected in that way. Both of those stories were about a deep, deep trench, or a vocabulary word, chasm, deep, deep place in the ground. So those texts were related. All the texts were related. Connecting the text to the world, that's a breeze with this, isn't it? Every story was about a natural wonder of this world. So they're all connected to the world. And that's an easy one to connect at this module. Okay, well, I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. So we're finished up with this module. We'll start a new one next week. What I need for you to do for me today, of course, is always on Friday, take your spelling test and then take your test on the Grand Canyon. I've included in that test some of the other skills we've learned this week as well. All right, I'll let you get started and get this weekend going. Have fun.